at the lowest level of communication to a higher level of communication. Now, another thing again I want to ask, because it's been a very big issue now in Nigeria. I'm sure you've all heard a lot of people are jackpotting out of Nigeria. So I'm just going to ask this question. It might sound funny, but how many of you, if you had an opportunity to leave Nigeria, would want to go? Like, let's say, for example, now, there's an opportunity to leave Nigeria now. You want to take the opportunity and move, maybe to the UK or to the US. How many? Hello?
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I didn't hear responses. So, and for some reasons, your screen is kind of frozen. So I'm not seeing if you're raising your hand or something. That's why I asked, can you hear me? So how many of us? Okay, just say if you like to jackpot, run off. If you have a chance to go to the UK, say me.
Me.
Ah, everybody wants to run. You're not alone. You're not alone. If I have the chance, I'll go. Now, that's one advantage. And I always tell people, as an educator, you've been teaching for years. You could move from Nigeria to the UK and get a teaching job. At least you can even start with a teaching assistant if you can't get a full classroom job. You can get a teaching assistant. I'll give an example. My friend, her husband just relocated them this April. And before she left, since 2 years now, I've been dragging her, come and do this MCE, come and do MCE. And she kept postponing, oh, I will do it. Now she went to the UK and she's trying to get a job. She now told me that she cannot clean. That she cannot clean at all. There's nothing they will tell her to do. She's not going to do janitor work. And she cannot do caregiver, that because her sister-in-law that is doing caregiver is always lamenting of racism, how the elderly people that are white treat her. So she now wants to apply. I told her, I said, so what do you want to do? She wants to apply for teaching assistant. So she had to call me and say, please, can I do MCE now? And I told her, I said, see, when you were in Nigeria, I was begging you, I will do it for free. Now you are in UK, I will charge you for it. I won't do it for free for you. So what am I trying to say? The MCE is a global certificate. So even if, as I am now, I step out of Nigeria, the reality is if you go out of Nigeria, if you carry even if you graduated with a first class, you're not likely to be recognized. But if you have that professional certificate with it, it gives you an edge. You understand what I'm trying to say? So it gives you an edge. It opens doors for you. I always tell my story to people to encourage teachers. I'm also a teacher. So that you know that I'm a teacher. Can you see what I'm holding in my hand? Can you see what I'm holding in my hand?
Yes.
No.
Okay, so I'm holding some scripts. They are my student scripts. So I'm actually marking. They just wrote their exam. So I'm actually marking. So I'm a teacher too. But diving into technology, before COVID happened, I've always been interested in technology. And I started learning. I started on YouTube. So I used to go to YouTube. I would look about what's Google Classroom. I'll learn about it. I'll look at, what's PowerPoint. I'll learn about it. I started learning and I started practicing. And then COVID happened and we had to do online. So it was an advantage for me because my school, I was the strongest among the teachers when it came to technology. So everybody fell back to me. So I started training my colleagues. And because I was training my colleagues, I got better. Now, I'll tell you one advantage I have had from this. It's right now, I sit in Nigeria, but I earn in dollars. I earn in pounds. How am I earning in dollars? How am I earning in pounds? You know that a lot of Nigerians have relocated to the UK and US and Canada, right? In the last 2 years. Now, the truth is, for you to get a lesson teacher in the UK, you're going to pay £50 per hour. £50 per hour. That's what you pay. But a lot of them, they are not ready to pay that £50 per hour. So they rather look for us in Nigeria that can deliver the same content and they'll just pay like half of that fee. So when people are complaining that dollar is going high, I'm always like, don't worry, I'm not shouting dollar is going high because the higher the dollar, the more my exchange is when they pay me my money. So I'm not trying to be selfish. So don't look at me as being selfish since I said I'm not complaining about the dollar going high. But the truth is, I mean, if dollar is at 1,000 and you pay me $25, that's 25,000 for me for that 1 hour. But if dollar is at 500 and you pay me 25,000, that's like 12,500. So what am I saying? Technology gives you an advantage wherever you are. You can see somebody just sent me a link which I want to apply for. It's a remote teaching job. So it's a school. They're not looking for full-time teachers. They're looking for teachers who can teach from home. I'm going to apply. If I get lucky and I pick that, it's good pay. I was on a group the other day and someone was saying, oh, how many of you earn up to 40,000 per month? And somebody posted in that same group and said, earn 1.5 million. And everybody was like, show me road, how? And he posted some things and they were like, how won't they do this one? He went to study German and got employed in a German school in Nigeria here. And they pay him on hourly basis. And he's earning about 1.5. What am I trying to say? The world is changing. So the question now is, what do you want for yourself? In the next 5 years, where do you want to be? I can tell you, education is gold right now. It's in those days that people used to say teachers are poor. It's a lie. If you know how to position yourself and you have the right skill, you cannot be poor as an educator. You understand what I'm trying to tell? And I'll tell you this for free. The money I make online is way more than what I'm being paid in my school. In fact, my husband has been challenging me, you need to quit your job. And I told him, I like the physical contact I'm getting with the children. Even though I teach online, I like seeing children physically and having interaction. So if you grow yourself and discipline yourself and grow yourself, you will make money. I don't know how many of you have heard of a Somofu Maths. It's an online, he works with the U-Lesson. How many of you know of U-Lesson? You've heard of U-Lesson? Oh, U-Lesson is in Abuja there. U-Lesson is in Abuja. So now he's a maths teacher with U-Lesson. He has a YouTube channel. And on his YouTube channel, he has over 50,000 subscribers. Do you know how much he's cashing in on a monthly basis? All he's doing is he sits down, positions his camera, and teaches a topic, uploads it on his YouTube channel. People are going there, watching, learning, and he's cashing out from YouTube. So there's no limit to you as an educator. But the truth is, before you plug yourself out there, the question is, what do you know? What do you have? And most times, you need to start practicing these things with the children you're teaching at the moment. For example, I'm in a school where I have an advantage now, where I'm doing better than where I was before. I've had opportunities by the grace of God. I was telling Mr. Abbas, I just came in from China. It was all expense paid because I have an advantage, because I have been able to grow myself. But it didn't just start today. My former school where I was, there were teachers I used to beg there, let's learn this technology. They were not interested, but I was intentional about myself. I used to go, I remember I would go to my VP's office and sign for projector because I wanted to teach my children using video. And a lot of teachers then were like, which nonsense way you they do? I beg, go to a board and write this. I'm a maths teacher. Like, go and solve this. And I'm like, sometimes the children understand better using video, you know, but they didn't understand. But I'm trying to tell you that the world has changed. There are a lot of things that are changing. Even the children we have now have changed. They're not like before again. You find out that even the children you have now, their attention span is shorter than what you had like 5 years ago. For those of you that have been teaching for 5 to 10 years, you find out that the children you're teaching now, the attention span is a lot shorter than the children of some 10 years ago. So what does that tell you? You need to evolve with your teaching principles. You need to do things differently that will keep them engaged, keep them excited, and want to be in your class. You understand? So we're going to go through. So I just wanted to do a bit of a basic background to encourage you to embrace technology. Please, whatever you do, you see this phone, don't take your phone for granted. You can make millions from it. There's a lot you can do. There's a lot you can achieve as an educator. I'm telling you the truth for free. If someone had told me some 6, 7 years ago, when I started playing with technology, that I'll be in Nigeria and teaching children in the US or teaching children in the UK, I would say it's a lie. In fact, the only one I've refused to take, I'm running away from now, is Australia, because the time difference is crazy. Even the US, I only do weekends because of time difference. But if I'm not keeping my full-time job, why not? I'll stretch. I'll stretch myself and I'll go beyond any limit. The UK is fine because, I mean, right now, except for now that there's daylighting, which is still at an advantage for me because their 5 p.m. is my own 6 p.m. So before any child will say class, I'm already at home. I'll go to work in the morning. I'll come back between 6 p.m. and about 10 p.m. I will teach. I make my money and I'm good. And you can do the same. So look at it beyond now and say, how do I move beyond where I am? There's some of you would even, I told someone, I said, even in Nigeria, yeah, there are big schools you can get into. Why would you get in there? Because you know, but if you don't know, how do you move? There are children that will come to your school. As a teacher, there are things you start doing in your classroom that will attract students to come to you. That's the truth. There are things you start doing, and technology is not expensive, please. Because I'm going to say some things that you can do. There are things you start doing in your school that students from other schools will want to come to your school. That's how it works. Before COVID, my school was on the verge of almost going off. We were losing students. But because of how we evolved using technology during COVID, in fact, after COVID, we were a school that our highest population in JS1 was like 20. And if we try, we get to 22. But after COVID, our JS1 entrance went to 70 something. So that's why I said there are things you can do and manage with technology that will increase the population of your school. And if your population increases, there's no way your money will not increase. Because if your school has 20 students and it moves from 20 to 100, there's no school director that wants to come and negotiate story. It's the population is there. We can all see the facts are there and we can make our demands. So please and please, let's dive in to using technology. And there are lots of platforms you can learn for free. When I mean for free, for absolutely free. There are lots of platforms. If there are things you want to learn, make YouTube your best friend. For me, YouTube is there's nothing. Once I find out anything, I go to YouTube. I was in a training and they talked about this thing that can generate PowerPoint presentation. I was like, I wrote down the name of the app and I went on YouTube and I watched 2 videos on how to use the app. That's how I create my PowerPoint and I don't stress myself. I just go there. If I want to teach a topic in maths, I will tell it, generate a topic on this for grade level, this. And it will generate the PowerPoint slide for me with examples, with everything. And I'll just download it. When I download it, I'll just edit, put 1 or 2 things, and I'm good to go. I'm not sitting down and stressing. That's the beauty of technology. Technology helps you. Now, when I want to write comments for my students, I don't stress myself again. I just open ChatGPT and I will say, act as a teacher. Write a comment on a student with grade C with this attitude. It will give me like 10 different suggestions in comments. I will read, pick the one that I feel is okay and suitable for that student, put it in the report card. When my parents are saying, we like the way Mrs. Olawale expresses herself regarding our student. It is not me. It's technology that is helping me, and I'm getting the advantage. So we're going to look into MCE now, and I'm hoping that we all think of how we can move on using technology, because truth is, whether we like it or not, I always say this, technology is here to stay. It's not going anywhere. There's nothing we're going to do about it. We can't push it away. It's here with us already. You understand? There's nothing we're actually going to do to say, no, I don't want this technology. It's a lie. You can't say you don't want it. It's here already. and it's not going anywhere. So we're going to do an overview of can you see my screen? Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, good. So when you write your exam, and I'm very positive that every one of you is going to do excellently well on the exam, you're going to get a certificate like this from Microsoft, and you're also going to get a badge like this from Microsoft with your name on it, signed by Microsoft. So anywhere you go in the world, once you present it, you're recognized. Now, what's the overview of what this MCE is? It's just about, it's called the 21st Century Learning Designs. And it provides students with skills they need in the 21st century. I'll give you an example. Some couple of years ago, there were some jobs that are available now that were not available then. Take, for example, now there's what we call in the financial industry. I'm sure a lot of you hear of the OPay, MoneyPay, PalmPay. You can see how that they came in and they've taken over a lot from the normal conventional banking system. Why? The world is changing. The world is changing. The jobs that were there, I would want you to take time, go and Google jobs that are going to be available in the next 20 years. And you ask yourself the question, the children with me now, am I preparing them for that job they are going to face? Because the truth is, medicine, law, and all that is not just going to be what it is anymore. Now we have robots. Let me tell you something that would shock you. Like I said, we had a trip. My students went on a trip to China. And in our hotel, because we had some presentation on the tax we had to do. So they came to my room for us to rehearse and prepare for the presentation. So unfortunately, one of my students forgot her key card in her room when she was stepping out. She didn't come out with it. So her room was locked. She couldn't go back into her room. So I had to call the reception from my own room. And I said, please, my student forgot her key card. Can you help me bring her key? And they said, oh, fine. They will send it upstairs. So the next thing, my phone rang again in my room and I picked and it was China. The person was speaking. I was like, what kind of wala is this? I don't understand China. Ha. So I hung up and I told my friend, my student, I said, please go and check the door. Maybe the person that is bringing the key is already at the door and we can collect the key. So you go and sleep in your room. That this one is speaking Chinese. I don't understand. Guess what? As she opened my door, she just opened the door and she screamed, jumped back into the room. I was like, what is the problem? She said, Miss Olawale, it's a robot. It's a robot that is outside. I started laughing. I was like, are you for real? A robot? She said, yes, 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 yes. Come and see. So I opened the door and lo and behold, there was a robot there. So we're looking at the robots and we're just looking at ourselves. And I said, we had better press something on this thing. So we saw one button. I said, and if we don't know anything, we know green, we know blue, we know colors. So green, yes, now green is supposed to mean something positive. That's what we know green for. So we press that button and immediately we press the button, the robot opened up itself and we saw the key card. We picked the key card, the robot closed up itself, turned back and left. And for 1 second, I was like, wow, is this where the world is now? I was telling my students, I told them, I said, you see why I said, you can't be where you are. The world is growing. I've always heard that robots are now in organizations. Never seen one. I saw one for the first time when I went to China. And I told them, I said, very soon, robots are going to come into Nigeria. Now, guess what? Robots are not going to take over your jobs completely, but the truth is, people that know how to operate them, build them, will take over your job. Because let's say now that job that they gave to a robot to come and do, it's somebody that they are supposed to employ to do it, isn't it? But they've created a robot to do it. Now, but there could be someone there that will think of, instead of me, since I don't have a job anymore in this place, how about I go and learn about how to program the robot? So I'm not doing the same job, but I'm doing something different. Right now, I'm doing a course with a university in the UK online. I'm learning data analysis. And I was telling someone, I said, the reason why I'm learning data analysis is I'm looking at in the next couple of years in the education sector, they're going to need people that can interpret data and use it. So you need to think of the future of work. What's the future of work? And the child that is in my classroom now, what am I teaching that child that will help that child with the future of work? It's very, very important. And that's what this is all about. So what's the 21st century learning design? What are the skills? Collaboration, skilled communication, knowledge construction, self-regulation, real-world problem solving and innovation, and then use of ICT, because that's where the world is now. If you don't know how, if you like carry a first-class degree and you are not a good team player, you can't keep a job. That's where the future is moving. If you like come with the best of degrees and you don't know how to communicate effectively, because right now, I'll tell you for free, the time has passed when people used to, you know, in those days, we used to send letter by post office. I remember when we were in school, you are in boarding house, you want to send letter to your parents, you will write it and they will do post office. But now, email is there. Who's doing post office again? Things have changed. Things have changed. Real world problem solving. I told someone, I said, I was telling someone, I said, the reason why we complain that students don't know maths is because we don't bring the real world of maths into the classroom. There's nothing around you that does not have maths in it. But the question is, how much of this do you bring into the classroom and how much do you teach children to solve problems around them? Now, one of the universities we visited in China, it's a university that is basically built on construction. That's what, it's a civil engineering, that's their main thing. And they said something, they founded that university when they were having challenge moving from that city where the university is to other cities. So they sat down and said, what do? We need to solve this problem. And that was how they came up with that university, to raise people that can do construction. That's where the world is coming to now, problem solving. Now, like I said, there's going to be an exam and there are different formats to the exam, but it's a 60 minutes exams. You have multi-choice questions, you have best answer, extended matching, drag and drop. So we'll look into all of that. Collaboration, what does collaboration mean? So we're going to look at what does collaboration mean? What form does it take? What skills do we need to be able to engage effectively in collaboration? Because a lot of times, what people term as collaboration is actually not collaboration. So, are you with me?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions so far? Because we're going into the full lecture now. Any questions?
No, for now.
Okay. Now, when we talk about collaboration, there's in the MCE, there's what we call the big ideas. Now, in collaboration, the first level of collaboration is called working together. The second one is called shared responsibility. The third one is called substantive decision. I'm going to explain each of them in details. And then the last one is called the interdependent work. I'll take that again. The first one is called working together. The second one is called shared responsibility. The third one is called substantive decision. And the last one is called interdependent work. So let's dive in. What does working together mean? It says students work together when the activity requires them to work in pairs or group to discuss an issue, solve a problem, or create a product. So for example, I can step into the class and today I want to talk about weather. And I can decide that my students sit, I'm teaching them on weather. Let them sit two in a group. And when they sit two in a group, I'm like, okay, can you talk to yourself what you know about the weather and come up with something? Now they sit down and they can begin to discuss. Oh, I'm from this part of Nigeria. And in that part of Nigeria, during the December period, the weather is always like this. But in August, the weather is XYZ. They are discussing an issue. Or for example, you're teaching them something that has to do with integrity. And you ask them, sit in group and discuss about integrity. What do you understand by integrity? That is working together because they're just at that first stage. They're either discussing an issue or, for example, for those that use puzzles, you can create a puzzle and tell them, come and solve this for me. They're in solving a problem. Or for example, let's say on our way coming to school, there's a link road to our school that is bad. And you tell them, can you sit together and discuss what you think we can do to fix this problem? Let them come up with ideas, solutions. That is working to, that they sit together and discuss that issue on something, they are working together. Now, students work in pairs or group might include people from outside their classroom. It doesn't necessarily mean that working together might just be only people in their classroom. So you could decide that, let's say, for example, I'm a language teacher, and let's say I'm a Yoruba language teacher, and I can decide that I want students in primary 4 and primary 3 to work together. Hello? Hello?
I can hear you. Go ahead.
No, I think they logged out, so I just admitted them back in. I need to be sure they're in.
Yeah. Can you all hear her now?
Are they back in?
Yes, I can see them. I can see them here. Can you hear me now?
Hear me?
I can hear you. We can hear you, but we can't see. Yes.
Okay, now I can see them. Okay, good. Can you hear me clearly? Can they see my slide? Okay, I need to stop share because you logged out. I need to stop share and reshare. Just give me a minute. Can you see my slide now? Can you see my slide now? Can you see my slide?
can't see us. Like, I think maybe we will have to.
Okay, just give me a minute. Let me, I would reshare. Just give me a minute.
I've clicked already. Now I'm saying why it's not active because I've already clicked it.
Okay, just hold on. I would reshare again. I think it was because it went off. Let me know if you can see my slide.
Not yet. The network broke us off. So I'm thinking we should cancel the connection and then rejoin. Talk about that.
Okay, you can't still see my slide now.
No, we can't.
Can you? Hello? Hi. Can you see it?
Yes, yes.
Okay, good. So just give me a minute. Let me put it on slideshow so it's clearer for you to see. Okay. Okay, so like I was saying, you could be a language teacher and maybe you want to do a play in a particular culture, and then you could say, oh, I want students in primary 3 and 4 to work together to create this. So yes, they could, it's not compulsory that they must be in the same class working together. Another thing again is, oh yes, we're now saying that technology has gone far. What if you want your students, because there's a school in Abuja. Oh, I wish I could. I'll try and figure out. I hope I'll remember the name. Maybe I'll share the name of the school with you. It's called 100. I know they do. Is it 100 naira a day or something like that school? It's in Abuja there. And I remember last time they gave them a project and the children had to, the project was on tourism. They were to do tourist sites in Nigeria. So they had to reach out to us. And one of the things we did was like, we are in Lagos, we can't come to Abuja, but we met online with the students. So we're working together. We're not face to face in the same place, but we were using technology to work online and we were still able to achieve the same goal. So working together does not necessarily mean that you must be in the same place with the person. So that's something I wanted to drive. So if you start using technology now, you might want to do something on Yoruba culture or the Igbo culture, and you need an expert, and you can just connect your students with someone in that place, and they have that conversation. Or maybe they are reading a literature text. Have you ever thought of the fact that the literature text you're reading with your students, you can actually get the author of that book? And the person doesn't need to come into your school. You can set up a Zoom or a Teams, and the person will have conversation with your students. Share why they wrote the book. Get the perspective of the author on the book. So those are things you can do. And that's where the technology comes in. Okay, so any questions, please? Any questions? Okay, so we'll go on to the next one. We just talked about the first level working together, and then I want us to look at some scenarios of what working together looks like and what working together is not. Now, the yes of working together, very important. Please take note of this because this is what your question will look like, and you should be able to identify these things in your question and say, oh, this is working together when I see the question. Peers of students give each other feedback. That's working together, because when you're giving feedback, maybe they had done an assessment, and you tell them, you give them their paper and you say, give yourself feedback, share, you got this, A got it, B did not get it. Can you give yourself feedback as to what you did that made you answer the question correctly? Sometimes, I tell you the honest truth, they learn better from their peers than they learn from teachers. When I started this MCE, I remember I was teaching, I started doing this, putting students in group to work together. And a student came to me and said, thank you so much, Ma, for today's class. It was the first class I was putting them in group to work together. And I was like, oh, you're welcome, but why are you thanking me? And she said, you know, I always feel embarrassed asking questions in class. But because I was working with my classmates, things I didn't know, I was able to ask them. I was able to ask them, and they were able to give me an idea of what to write. So yes, feedback, it's working together. A small group discussing an issue. So you can, let's say you have 15 people in your class, and you can put them in groups of 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. That's creating 5 groups. Discuss. Students use Skype to interview a student in another town. That's what I was saying. For example, I want to discuss on tourism, and we're thinking, let's take the tourist attraction site for this year to be Olumorok. I don't know where it is. I've never been there, but I know someone that lives in that town that can give us all the details. And I'll just do Skype, Teams, anything, video conferencing with someone there. And my students will ask questions and get all the information and all the details they need from someone who is there and is experienced. The other one is students share OneNote. So you're going to be taught on OneNote. Now, the OneNote is a collaborative platform where you can make notes, make draft, and you can comment and give feedback to each other on it. Now, the no is students did their work alone. You can't say if students are working alone and working on their work alone, that's collaboration. That's no. The whole class discuss an issue, no. I come into the class and I tell you that today we're going to be looking at photosynthesis. Let us discuss photosynthesis. Is the whole class discussing? That's not collaboration. Instead, come into the class and say, sit together in groups of 2 or 3 and discuss what you understand by photosynthesis. That is collaboration. Each student creates his or her own story and send it directly to the teacher for feedback. So you as the teacher giving your own students feedback is not collaboration, but the students giving each other feedback is known as collaboration. And I'm going to try and make sure I send this slide to you guys. I'm going to send you a study material that you will use. And by the last class we would have, I'll also show you how you can register on Microsoft Learn. It's a free platform, so you can study more before you write your exams. So now let's go to the next level. And we said the next level is shared responsibility. We've talked about working together. Now we're on the next level. The next level is shared responsibility. What's shared responsibility? Students are sharing responsibility when they're working in peers or group to develop a common product, design, or response. Before I proceed, I just want to ask this. Do you usually give your students projects? Do you give them projects to do? Good. So when you give them that project to do, let them engage in groups to do the project, not as individuals. And when you ask them to engage in groups in doing the project, let them all have a part to play. So they should be assigned roles. They should be assigned roles, but we'll get to a part where you understand that the role should not even be assigned by you as the teacher. You should let them take responsibility for assigning those roles. So they must collectively own and be mutually responsible for its outcome. So they should be able to share responsibility. Yes, I put them in group. They've discussed. They have a project they want to work on. The first level is that they're in group. They discussed about the project, what they want to do, how they want to go about it. That is just level 1. Then they begin to share responsibility. And they are all contributing to what the final outcome of that project is going to be. That means you have gone to collaboration level 2. And if you think of it, like I'm telling you, some of these things, it's not as if we don't know them, but we just sometimes we're not intentional about putting them in place in our classrooms. So let's now go to the yes and no of shared responsibility. Like I said, I'll send you this so that you can study with it. Students conducted a lab experiment together. Student had joint responsibility for carrying out the lab experiment. They had joint responsibility. Maybe one person's own is to gather the material. Another person's own is to build the project. Another person's own is to write a report on the project. They all have a part to play. They all did something for that final presentation. But, you know, like we always say, all fingers are not equal. So we all have our strengths and our weakness. For some people, they can speak very well. So their own is when they finish, when it's time for our group to present, that is the person that will come out and speak on behalf of the group and present. For some other people, they know how to do research. If you ask them what happened in 1920, they can go to any length, ask people questions and get all the information they need. For some other people, they are hands-on. They are the ones that know how to build, put the wood together, make the paper, make the this, make the that. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Everybody is different, but let everybody have a role to play. Let everybody have a role to play. I'll give you a typical. Do you guys do paper mache? Do I have a fine arts teacher in there? Do I have a fine art or a visual art teacher there? Do I have a visual arts teacher there? Where's the visual arts teacher?
All of us.
I like
that's
that.
A nursery, okay, that's a nursery primary school.
Oh, yes, but some schools like to have specific for some things. Okay, so let me just say this. How many of us do the paper mache thing? Are they out again or they're here with me? Are you still here?
Yes.
Okay, good. How many of us know of paper mache? Paper mache. You know paper mache where you use paper, put it together and you mold. Now imagine that you give your students paper mache as a project for them to do as a group. You know that there are some people that will be very good without molding. There are some people that what they can do in the group is that they know how to go and gather all the paper and gather the gum and soak the paper. But when it comes to molding it on the cup or the plate, they might not be able to do that. You understand? And then there are some people that their own is, let them finish. Did they want to do the project presentation? Me, I'll be the one to speak. Do you understand? Me, I can talk. So when they finish everything, we are supposed to write the step-by-step process of how we did everything. They can do that one very well. That is their own calling. So like I said, everybody has a role. So, but at the end of the day, you find out that everyone has played a role that makes this work come out and have a completion. And we can now present. So everybody had something to do. That's shared responsibility. But in a case where only 2 people are doing it and the other 2, you know, there are some students that the only thing they know how to do is, well done. You are doing very well, oh. The Lord is your strength. Well done. Hey, I can, so I didn't know you know how to do this thing very well, oh. Thank God I'm in your group. God knows why he puts me in your group. You know, we have those type. Now, if you have a student like that, you can't call that shared responsibility because there's one student that has not participated at all, has not taken. So the idea is let children take ownership of what they're doing. So that's the whole idea of the shared responsibility. And shared responsibility fairly, just like what I said, for a team of 4 students design a website about an author. Each student contributes the text, the visuals, something that is related to the book. And then you have a case where only 2 students do the whole work. That's a no. And the other 2 are just there hailing them. Well done. I can see you have done well. That's the color you painted, that blue. I think if you had used pink, would have been fine. Don't tell them you think if they have used pink should have been fine. Use the pink and get involved in the job. Do it. So children need to be taught that. So substantive decision, which is the next level. Substantive decision comes about making decisions together. I'll tell you something. The problem we have in Nigeria is because some tribes feel they are not carried along in the decision-making of the nation. That's why we have all the conflicts we have. That's why we have all the conflicts and the crises we have. Because there's some people who will tell you that, since Nigeria got independence, they have never carried us along. They have never involved us in anything they're doing. Substantive decision. Let everybody's point of view be considered. We're not saying you take everybody's point of view, but give everyone a chance to say something. So whether it is the content, the process, or the final product itself, students must agree. And when we say students must agree, sometimes it's not like if you have 4 people, all 4 must agree that yes, we'll use blue. 3 might agree we use blue. 1 will say, no, let's use white. But you have a majority, a consensus. But there should be an agreement as to what we're doing. There should be an agreement on the content. There should be an agreement on the process. There should be an agreement on the final product we're coming out with. That is what substantive decision is all about. Substantive decision is, so what are we saying? Teach your children these things. And the truth is, when you teach them these things, I'll tell you this. I told someone, I said, until educators understand the role they play in nation building, we're not going to get it right in our politics. Let me give you an example. You're teaching in a primary school, which is a very delicate stage. Imagine if your children understand certain values and are able to hold on to it. By the time they get to election age, who wants to come and bribe them? They've learned and they've gone past that. They've become more knowledgeable than that. So the transformation we're talking about still comes back to us as educators. What are we doing with the children we have? How are we teaching them to make decisions together? How are we teaching them to respect people's opinion? So those are the things you can consider when you're looking at substantive decisions. So you tell them in your content, how did you come about the content? How did you come about the process? What tools, what roles, what responsibility? How did you share the responsibility? How did you decide who would do what and who would not do what? Your final product and design. How did you come out with your final product? How did you agree that you use a pink and not a blue? Was it one person that said, no, we're using blue? You know, there's the class captain. I'm the class captain. So if I say we are going to use wood for our project, those that are saying we are going to use paper, you're on your own. And they go ahead and execute it. We need to teach them to respect other people, carry people along in decision making. When you assign projects, let them understand the value of people's opinion. Let them understand the value of taking people's ideas and merging it with their own and working with it. So what does substantive decision look like? For a yes, students devise a plan for creating their music video. So for International Children's Day, you might have a project for International Children's Day. You're saying, let's make a video for International Children's Day. Let them decide how they make the video, the content of their video. Don't come and sit down and be telling them you must do it. We're not saying don't guide them, but we're saying don't be their voice. Let them decide the content of their video. Let them decide if they want to use a phone or a camera or something to record their video. Let them decide if they want to do the video in the school hall or they want to use the school dining. Let them decide if the story they want to tell on International Children's Day is on unity or integrity. Let them make that decision. Your own is just guide them through the process. Not being the one to say International Children's Day must speak on integrity, and then you write everything they are going to say for them. And no, please. This generation, they've gone smarter than that. In fact, I tell people that this generation, they come out of the womb and they already know how to press and operate a phone. So what do you want to tell them that they don't know? We are the ones struggling with technology. We are the ones having challenge with technology because we're not born with it. For them, they are not struggling with it though. They are born with it, they are born into it. So every child knows how to press a phone, and like my children now, if I put password on your phone, if they want to still open it, they open it. Anyhow you do it. So what I'm teaching them now is how to be digital literate. And I'm teaching them, I'm making them understand it's not everything you post online. I'm trying, because whether they already know. They know. I'll give you an example. I didn't grow up knowing that when you go on Facebook, you can see somebody with a female name and a female picture, but it might be a male that owns the account. We didn't grow up knowing that because we're not taught that. But my children, they know. If I had the other day, my daughter was saying something, say, don't look at all these people you see on Facebook. Oh, you see some people when they send you friend request and you don't know the person. Say, don't accept, oh, because when they show their picture as a girl and a girl name, it might not be a girl, it might be a guy, and they might want to dupe you because that's the world they are born into. So they know these things. So give them a chance to make those decisions. But while you're doing that, you let them know that it is important that everybody is part of the decision. Everybody is part of the decision process. Everybody is carried along. And I keep telling people, I think that was one of the reasons why the unity schools were established. Unfortunately, the unity schools are not working that way anymore in Nigeria. So students discuss which capital city to choose for their project. So for example, you want to tell them to discuss about a section in Nigeria, and they choose the city they want to discuss, they negotiate how they want to do it. When we finish, should we just use cardboard paper to do a design, or do we do a PowerPoint presentation? Leave that to them, but they should all work together and agree on that process. Now, the last level of collaboration is called the interdependent work, which is the highest level. Interdependent work is students' products are interdependent. When there's evidence that all students contributed to the work, when there's evidence that everybody had a role to play, when there's evidence that every student made an input in that final presentation they're bringing to you as a project, then that shows interdependent work. Then you can now say that collaboration has been achieved, 100%. That's the only point where you can now say, oh, we've gotten to 100% collaboration. But if we're 4 working on a team and the project is only reflecting 3 people's idea, then it's not interdependent. It means the 4th person was left out. So everybody, each contribution is essential to the final project. For example, I want my students to talk on the skeleton. A student can decide to draw an image of the skeleton. Another person can decide to do a write-up on the skeleton. Another person can decide to do a research on how did this whole story of skeleton even come about. So everybody has something. The final work shows that A, B, C, D worked together and came up with this idea. That is the peak and the height. If your students don't get to that point, yes, they might be put in groups, discuss an issue, but it doesn't mean they are collaborating at the highest level. And when you assign them projects, do they all really work together on that project? Do you see them really working together and achieving that task and that project and respecting each other's boundaries and opinions? That's the peak of collaboration. So very, very, very important. So now, for interdependent work, we have what we call the individual accountability and group accountability. Each individual is responsible for a task he or she must complete in order for the group to do its work. So for example, like I gave an example of, I gave my students a project on the skeleton. Maybe one person's own is to research all the details about the skeleton. Another person's own is to build the skeleton. Another person's own is to create our presentation model. Now, for it to be complete, if I don't do my own part and B and C is doing their own part, we will not have a complete project. And it shows that the role of each student must be, it's essential. And then when you talk about the group, is that students must work together to produce the final product or outcome and must negotiate and agree on the process, designs, and conclusion of the work. So you keep saying that something here, they must negotiate. They must negotiate. Nobody's imposing their opinion. Nobody's imposing their idea. They are negotiating. And sometimes we always say, oh, they're children, they don't know. Who told you? It's a lie, they know. They can do it. We just are not giving them a chance to do it. So that's another thing that is very, very important. So group members each research a different internal system of frogs. Learners then work together to dissect a frog and write a lab report about the dissection, identifying frog parts and the system to which they belong. That's a yes. The no is group members work together. Yeah, they worked together to research, but each learner conducts their own dissection. They didn't do that as a group and write their own report. The report is not one single report on behalf of the group. It's individuals submitting their own report. So that is a no, a complete no. Okay, so here is what we call the collaboration rubric. Students, I think the questions that you would see where it says students have a whole class discussion. That's level 1, because they are not even working together. A whole class discussion means they were not even put in groups in the first place. So that's level 1. Students are working together, but they are not sharing responsibility, level 2. Students are sharing responsibility, but they are not making any decisions together, level 3. And then when they make decisions together, but their work is not interdependent, that's level 4. And then level 5 is at that point where they are at the peak of it. Because, I mean, for your work to be very interdependent, it means that you had shared responsibility, you had made decisions together, and then you had come up with a final project as a group, not as individuals. So that's level 5. So this is like a rubric, a flow. For those who love flow diagram, this is a flow diagram on the rubrics that helps you understand what it is. So any questions before we dive into skilled communication? I'm expecting you to ask questions, especially using your classroom scenarios. What can you do? Because the whole idea is that you should be able to take this back to your classroom and take it back to your school community. So what can you do? Okay, let me ask the question. What challenge do you think you might have executing collaboration at its peak in your community? Yes.
Time frame.
Time frame. Time frame. Okay, brilliant. Oh, in fact, you're a very great teacher. Please, what's your name?
Dennis.
Mr.
Dennis.
Mr. Dennis, so I have a gift for you. I'm going to reach out to Mr. Albert and I'll send you a gift because you're the first person that has engaged effectively for my class.
They want
So,
to take the gifts now.
Eh?
They want to take the gifts now. They want to take the gifts now.
They want?
They want the gifts now.
They want the gift now.
Yes, they want to take the gift from me.
No, don't worry, Mr. Dennis, it's your gift. Don't worry, I'm going to send you a very good gift. Okay, so now let me play a scenario for you. I understand very well when you talk about time frame, but at the same time, that's where it's important when we talk about lesson planning and your time conscious. And you also know your learners. You also know your learners. So for example, I'm stepping into primary 3, and I know that these primary 3 children, they can be very naughty, they can be very this, they can be very disruptive. I'm just giving that an example. They're not a very easy to manage class. So what do? I would, let's say I have a 40 minutes for that lesson. I would have planned my activity very well. I'm not going into that class unprepared. So I step in. Give me a topic in, I'm not, even though I've been in maths in so many years, I think I can play around with 1 or 2 topics. Give me a topic I think I can play around with.
Family, social studies.
Mathematics.
Mathematics.
Yeah.
Okay, give me a maths topic. Give me a maths topic.
Addition and
subtraction. Addition of 2-digit number.
Of 2-digit numbers. Addition of 2-digit numbers. Is that what you said?
Yes.
Okay, good. So now, let's say this. I go into a class. Are you with me? And I pick my students randomly, put them in groups. Now, here's how you can do. Put card number. Let's say I have 22, I have 33. Are you with me? And you put them, you sort them in boxes. And you will tell the student A, go to box A, pick a card, go to student B, picks a card, and both of you, whatever numbers you find on your card, add them together and solve it. How about that? Did you get what I just said?
Yes.
Yes. And then that's even starting on that part. Now, also tell them, sometimes when you ask some of these questions, you could just ask them a question and say, in Nigeria, when you're doing subtractions, in Nigeria, there are 36 states. And I just found out in Ghana, there are 27 states. Do you think Nigeria has more states than Ghana? And they could say, oh, yes, uncle, I think so. Okay, so can you tell me how many more states Nigeria has than Ghana? Am I still doing my addition and subtraction?
Yes.
But I'm bringing it home.
Yes.
Are you getting it now? Now, I keep telling people, see, everybody likes food. We like food. We like food. We like food very well. All of us, we like to eat. And I always used to tell this, why don't you step into your classroom and tell your children, I'm teaching ratio or I'm teaching proportions or something. And why are you only playing with numbers? Why are you not playing with things in real life? So why are you not stepping into your classroom and saying, excuse me, students, I'm hosting a party this weekend. Please, I need your help. My party must not flop. It has to be a glorious party. So I need you to help me plan. And they'll be like, okay, uncle, no problem. Yes, we'll help you. You now say, okay, last time I had a party, there were 10 guests in that party. And I had 10 chocolates, 20 biscuits, 40 drinks. This time around, I've just been informed that there are 20 guests coming for this party. Please help me calculate so that I don't make mistakes, because everybody that comes to my party should be able to eat well. So if I use 10, what do you think I should use this time around? Will your students not be able to engage with that type of question? Will it not make more sense to them than you writing 10:20? What is it going to be? X:40. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Yes. In fact, let me tell you something. Tell them rice was, the last time I bought bag of rice, so was ask them to go home and ask their parents. Last time they bought bag of rice was 30,000. What is bag of rice now? 50,000. By how much has rice increased? Can you figure out the percentage that rice has increased now in Nigeria? What do you think we can do to help the situation? Now, one of the things you're achieving is, yes, you're delivering on maths, but you're also teaching your children to be intentional, because you're asking them, how can we solve this problem? Do you think there's anything we can do? Because that's how we need to change our mindset. You understand what I'm trying to say? So yes, we think of time, but you also think of an activity that would engage them in that time frame and give you the same perfect result that you're looking for. So are we good on that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So let's go to the next one, which is the skilled communication. So for skilled communication, we start with extended communication, multimodal, requiring supportive evidence, and designed for a particular audience. So one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to try, I have this website, Twinkle. So you could send me some of your maths. Like I said, I'm majorly a maths person, so I can help a lot with maths. So you could send me some of your maths topics, and I could download some very engaging and nice worksheets that you can use with your students. So when I send it to you, just print it out, make copies, and you just be having fun in class. There's some worksheets that have like 50 questions in it. Trust me, if you give them those 50 questions, they won't answer it. But if I show you the worksheet and you put it in front of your students, they'll finish it now for you in 10 minutes. And you'll be shocked. Because that's the way their life is now. They're excited about certain things, and you just figure out how you bring those things into the classroom for them. Okay, so what's his name now? Dennis, right?
Yes.
Is it Dennis?
Yes.
Okay, so Mr. Dennis, I'll put you in charge of getting the topics and finding a way of getting it across to me so I can have the resources and send back to you guys.
All right.
Okay, good. Okay, so extended communication, and let's move into the next one. What's extended communication? Extended communication is required when students must produce communication that represents a set of connected ideas, not a single line of thoughts. So when students write one sentence, it's not extended communication. One sentence is not extended communication. For example, I tell the students to write about Lagos, and they just write, Lagos used to be the capital of Nigeria. One sentence is not extended communication. But if they can write for me, Lagos was once the capital of Nigeria in the year this, and this change. In Lagos, it's a center of commerce because of this. They can give me like a paragraph on Lagos. That is extended communication. Or better still, write about Lagos and they put pictures, videos of Lagos, put it together and come up with a little presentation. That is extended communication and multimodal. So when we say multimodal, it means you have image, you have a write-up, not just that you have only image or you have only a write-up. And it must show the evidence of students' work. It must show the evidence of students' work. It must show the evidence of students' work in it. It must show the evidence of students' work. Not that they went to the internet and just copied something and pasted. It must show that the students studied, they read, they researched, and came up with this. Not that they just went to the internet, saw one story, opened one page, and they wrote about Lagos, they copied it, pasted, and sent it back. If they just copied from the internet, it won't be looked at as extended communication. I hope this is clear, please. I hope this is clear, please.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So yes, a student wrote a paragraph in response to an essay prompt. That's extended communication. No is student write one sentence. No is that students write one sentence. That is a complete no. And then students hosted a webinar to present on different topics about their city or peers. So when they host a webinar, they're part of it. They also make a presentation. But if they participate in a webinar where they just sit down and listen to people's opinion and things without them contributing or being part of anything, it's a no. So they need to be involved in it. That's when it's extended communication. Now, the other one is multimodal. Multimodal communication is when it includes more than one type of communication mode or tool used to communicate a coherent message. More than one type. So they could have a video and a text embedded together, or photograph and text showing. It adds more to their, it gives more value and more impact to what they are trying to explain. It communicates more to whoever they are making that presentation to. Then it's multimodal, because, I mean, for example, if I'm only like, what I'm doing, I'm not using images. So if I have images alongside what I'm doing, then it's termed multimodal. But I don't have images alongside it, and I don't have a video alongside it. So I'm not going to call this multimodal. So, but multimodal means just like the word multi-mode, more than one means telling the same story. So I'm a picture and a write-up, but all together telling the same story. I'm using a video and a write-up trying to tell the same story. That is multimodal. Now, a team of students created a radio advertisement for their new invention, choosing to use an audio rather than print medium because they thought it would be most compelling if they could use sound. If you are the teacher that is involved in it, it is a no. So please, even when you're writing your exam, if you see any question where they say the teacher, please, without thinking twice, tick it as a no. Without thinking twice, tick it as a no. The teacher helped this is a no. The teacher must not help them. They have to do it themselves. They have to do it themselves. They have to do it themselves. It's not the teacher doing it for them. It's not the teacher doing it for them. They have to do it themselves. Requires supporting evidence. Communication includes supporting evidence when students explain their ideas, describe their reasoning, or provide supporting facts or examples. For example, if I'm trying to talk about the COVID-19 that just passed now, and I'm talking about effect of COVID-19 in Nigeria, and I cannot give you facts as stated on the NCDC site, it's a no. If I want to tell you that there's a part in Nigeria that has been greatly affected by flood, I should have evidence and facts to back up my story. So you ask children to write about flooding. They should have evidence and fact to back up what they are saying. Not that they just come and sit down and just think off their head and write something. There should be evidence. Flooding is an issue. Why? In XYZ area, this happened. In 2019, it was recorded that so and so number of people in Niger State were greatly affected as a result of the flood due to this. That is fact, not just talking. In Nigeria, people are always affected by flood, and it is because the government has not done this, but there's nothing to back up your evidence. So there must be evidence to support what the students are saying. They must show evidence to support what they're saying. Now, 15-year-old students wrote essays about why global warming is a problem. The yeses, the essay states a claim about global warming and provides evidence from scientific article. Yes, we all know that global warming is a problem, but if a child is going to write on global warming, let them be able to provide some evidence. In this country, research has shown in XYZ country, research has shown that makes more sense. Now, not just that they are saying there's global warming because the sun now in the weather is hotter than it used to be. Yes, we know that's an effect of global warming, but at the same time, it could also not be global warming. Now, students wrote blog posts about the main themes from Alice in Wonderland, and they didn't just do that, but they accompanied it with pictures to illustrate each point in the story. So while they were writing each point in the story, they had pictures to illustrate that. So that shows supporting evidence. That shows that that child has done some good work. You understand? So it's very key. Communication designed for a particular audience. Now, this is something that is very important because take, for example, if you want to teach, do students to do a play on integrity and you want them to present it to parents, the way you're going to have them do that play on integrity to present to parents will be different from the way you want them to do a play on integrity and present to new students that are coming into your school. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say. Eh?
Yes.
Because if you're doing a play for parents, I'm sure you want the parents to understand that integrity means that in your office, when they bring bribe for you, don't take it. But for a child who is coming into your school, who is probably coming to primary 1, primary 2, they don't understand what bribe is. They are not taking bribe. So why are you doing play for them on bribe? You have to do that play tailored to their age group. So that's why we said communication should be designed for a particular audience. Communication should be designed for a particular audience. If I'm going to put something generally on the internet and I'm going to do something specifically for teachers, in quotes, I'll do them differently. let me give you an example. I can teach this same collaboration to people who work in office, but I'm not going to use this route I'm doing. Because people who work in office don't need to hear collaboration as in putting students in group, right? I'm going to teach them with respect to their own field. So that's why I said communication is designed for a particular, there must be evidence that it was designed for a particular audience. We must have that evidence. So students created video about their school to welcome incoming students. This video includes a friendly host who provides key information about the school and shows images from life at the school. Now, the video is designed both to make the incoming students feel welcome and provide them with important information about the new school. So the way you're going to do a video for new students is even different. If I'm going to be doing a marketing, I have somebody I want to ask to come and give us a grant to grow our school. The way we are going to do the video to present to those people will be completely different from how we'll do a video to present to incoming students. Students wrote email to a product manager of a company suggesting improvements to the product. Now, the email clearly explains the suggested improvement for the product, positioning them as having widespread appeal for consumers. But if you're not talking about in that email, you're not designing it, you're not writing it, thinking of a particular age group or something, then it means it's not designed for a particular audience. So that's one thing that is very key. Now, the rubric here is the communication is not extended or multimodal. You can't find any form of that is a no. The communication is extended or multimodal. That takes you to level 2. That takes you to level 2. The communication is extended or multimodal, and it does contain sufficient evidence, but it is not designed for a particular audience. It stays at 3. Now, if it has been designed for a particular audience, but it does not show evidence, it still stays at 3. If it has been designed for a particular audience, but it does not show evidence, it still stays at 3. It only goes to 4 when it is extended, multimodal, supporting evidence, and designed for a particular audience. So this is also like a flow diagram. I'm going to send you guys all of this so you can do it. And then the last one we're going to look at today, I told you there were 6 of them. The last one we'll look at for today is the knowledge construction. Knowledge construction. This is very, very important. And most times questions dwell a lot on this. And I think it's because they understand that this is one aspect that you apply every day in your classroom. The student construct knowledge. Was the knowledge conceptually accurate? Was it applied in an interdisciplinary way? And we're going to get into that interdisciplinary because that's something that is very, very important. Knowledge construction as its main requirement, apply knowledge. Now, when we talk about, I think that's the challenge we have with our Nigerian curriculum. I taught the Nigerian curriculum for a lot of years before I moved into teaching the British curriculum. And I can tell you for free, where we have a problem in the Nigerian curriculum is they apply their knowledge. And that's why I said, a lot of people are saying, oh, curriculum should be changed. And I said, no, it's about us, the teachers, thinking. It's just, for example, we're talking, I just told you now, I said, rice was 30,000 in January, now it's 50,000. Why will I be teaching a child percentage change and I cannot make the child transfer that knowledge of me teaching them percentage change? And maybe the mother has a supermarket and the child gets there and cannot assist the mother in calculating the percentage change in the price of goods. If I'm not making a mistake, you teach profits, percentage profits and loss in the primary school, right? Eh?
Yes.
So if you're teaching profit and loss in the primary school, why can't a child go back home and the mother is selling in the market and the child can help the mother do profit and loss? That's applying knowledge. Why would I teach about water filtration and a child cannot go back home and tell the mother that, this is our water that is bad. If we can add X, Y, Z to this water, and they do it and they see the results. That's applying knowledge. We talk about cleaning agents in home economics, Abi. Eh?
Yes.
So why won't a child go back home and tell the mom that, mommy, this one that Nigeria now is difficult. All the egg we are eating, let's be keeping the shell. We can grind it together, do it like this, and create scrubbing powder. We'll still be using it in our house. That's applying knowledge. So children should be able to leave your classroom and take back what they are learning into the real world and use it and see that difference. I have a student who started liquid soap making business, and it's a big deal for her now. Luckily for her mom was working in an oil company that was big. So the mother helped her to brand it. And the mother, till now, that's what she's making money from. She spent her whole life in the university paying her fees from that business. She learned it in home economics class. And she went back home and started doing it. And they started producing it. In fact, by the time COVID came, the mother, that was what they were doing. She even did sticker, she put on a board cake, and she said, till today, that is what that child is doing. The girl just graduated, but that's what she's doing. It's a big business for her. She does disinfectant, she does all those things, and they're making money from it. That's what we're talking about, applying knowledge. So knowledge construction happens when students go beyond reproduction, memorizing. 2 times 2, 2. 2 times 2, 4. 2 times 5, 10. Let children go beyond that. 3 times 3, 9. Let children go beyond that. What else can I do with 3 times 3? I'm being taught area and perimeter. Can I use my knowledge of area and perimeter to redesign my room so I have more space to walk around in my room? Yes. Because the simple truth is the area of perimeter you are teaching them, they can find the area of perimeter of their room, determine the area of their bed, their table, everything, and know the space that it will occupy, know how to fit it in, and all that. Let them go beyond memorizing. Let them begin to do some interpretation. Let them begin to do some analysis. Let children begin to think of what you teach them in the classroom and how this applies in their life and how they get to use it and see it around them. Let them see the students that come from your school talk differently and see life differently because they have a teacher that is also doing that. Let them be able to evaluate issues. They should be able to look at issues and give a good judgment, tell the credibility. They should be able to read things and be able to tell this is genuine, this is not. They should be able to do the compare and contrast between issues, not just memorizing. If they are memorizing, they're at level 1. They have not gone anywhere if they are memorizing. So is this knowledge construction Students use details in a story to infer the reason why a character committed a crime. Students write paper that compares and contrasts from multiple sources. So in my class, I'm teaching my students on a particular topic, like the climate change we talked about. They should be able to think and look at it and say, okay, maybe the reason why this is happening is as a result of X, Y, Z. Even ordinary erosion and even the pollution we talk about, there's an intentionality you teach. I'll give you an example. When we went to China, it was something that shocked me. I didn't hear a car horn from the day I went to the day I left. No pim, I didn't hear it at all. So after about 3-4 days, I had to call one of the guys that was there. I said, please come, don't be offended. I said, is it that your cars, they don't have horn at all? You people build cars without horn in this your country. He said, no, they have horn. I said, but I've not heard any horn since I came in. He said, horns are meant for emergency. You're laughing. Wait now. Don't worry, I will shock you more now. And I told the guy, I said, emergency. He said, yes, and it has to be an extreme case. So when you press your horn, they look at you like, what's going on? Everybody will run out. When you press, everybody will come out. People will stop their car because they believe there's an emergency. They need to help. I said, that means we have plenty of emergency in Nigeria. Now, do you know the unique thing he said? He now told me that, and this period is school period, students are learning. I was shocked. You can't afford to be making noise. Now, there was another thing I observed that also gave me a shocker. I did not see a sheet of paper on the floor. I did not see anything on the floor. So I now asked him, I said, see that there's a law that if I drop paper now, police will come and arrest me or something. When I asked, he looked at me, he was confused with my question. So I have to re-explain myself very well. He now said, no, there's no law. And he said something. He said something. He said, we are raised to know that caring for your environment is showing love to your neighbor. Wow. So what am I trying to say? We can teach these children, we can make them so intentional about what we teach them, because sometimes, yes, we teach them in school about the effects of blocking the drainage, but do we make them intentional about it so that they begin to understand, even within our school community? Within our school community, are we intentional that we don't litter? And our students see that we as educators, we don't litter. And they understand that in our school community, we must put things in the trash. Because once they get that intentionality, they'll take it home. And you see them, they'll start correcting the people around them at home. And before we know it, it would become a thing, a culture in our own space. You would just be shocked that there's a parent in that mosque or church that child goes to that will say, the reason why I'm bringing my child to your school is because I noticed that the children in this your school, when they eat, they always put their things in the trash. They don't throw it on the floor. I tell you for free, morals is dying away. People are looking for schools that have morals and values to take their children to. So let's go beyond our children memorizing and now beginning to intentionally carry out these things they are learning. Because some of the things why some students fail the exam, you'll be shocked. A child is doing very well in your class, but when it comes to exam, he's failing. Why? Because in your class, he was only memorizing. He wasn't applying. He was only memorizing. He wasn't applying. And because he's not applying, he gets into the exam hall and he forgets everything. The next one now is knowledge construction as the main requirement. The main requirement is part of that activity that students spend most time and effort. Where students spend most time and effort. Are students spending most time and effort in the aspect of the activity you give them in class where they need to think, or are they spending most time and effort in the part of the activity where they need to just memorize? So for example, students learn 2 times table. You use a whole day for them to memorize 2 times table. Then you now come to school the next day. In 10 minutes, you just give them 3 questions and they finish. Where they need to apply knowledge, they finish in 10 minutes. That means they have not constructed that knowledge very well. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying.
Yes.
So children need to spend more time in the aspect where they are thinking. On that part where you know it will require them to think, please give them more time and more work there. Not on the part where definition of, to teach definition of photosynthesis, you have used one whole class time. And then when it comes to the aspect where they need to apply the knowledge of photosynthesis, use 5 minutes. It means children are not constructing knowledge. You should spend more time where they are required to think than where they are required. So you need to look at your lesson plan. Are my children spending more time cramming, memorizing? Are they spending more time thinking and doing things? So here it says, a student made a short list of important details from a story, then wrote an essay. So if you look at it, short list and wrote an essay. Those are the underlined words. The other one says long list and then 2 sentences. So they're not spending time where they're constructing knowledge. Students spend 10 minutes listing details from a story and spend 35 minutes using the details to propose why a character committed a crime. The other way is 35 minutes, 10 minutes. So you also need to look at the time. This activity, this topic, are my children spending more time thinking, or are they spending more time memorizing and cramming? So that's very important for us. Now, apply knowledge. Students must apply their knowledge when they use the knowledge they have constructed to support another knowledge construction in a new context. So just like I said, we are teaching them on cleaning agent, and a child cannot go home and at least help the mother make scrubbing powder. It means we haven't done anything. I just taught them on profit and loss. And my mother has a shop where she sells things. And I can't encourage and teach her how to look at her profits and determine if she's making a loss, or determine if the sales girl is cheating my mother or not. She has not, then that child has not learned anything in your class. I'm teaching about interior decoration, and that child cannot go home and help the mother say, oh, mommy, this Christmas that is coming, I think we can make our house beautiful. If we look at this color, and we can do this, we can do some paper decoration. We don't need to go buy all the fancy Christmas tree. Nigeria is hard, but we can do some, blow our own balloon, tie it together, do some paper decorations. The simple things. The simple things they can take away from your learning. Simple things they can take away from your classrooms. I have an uncle that is hypertensive, and I've just been taught about balanced diet and this, and I can't have a conversation. I say, uncle, I'm not saying you should not eat meat, but if you do this, I think you'll be better. Very important. Are you with me?
Yes.
Okay. So the yes and the no here. Students analyze demographic statistics from their hometown and then use their understanding of population trend to develop a plan for an upcoming housing development project. even in your school, there are things you're teaching them that they should be able to apply to support your school community. There's a school where we did MCE, and the chemistry teacher, but she's now a big woman. We still talk. And surprisingly, when they wanted to paint the school, it was she and her students. After we talked about this, and I said, all these things, you are doing it now. Practicalize it, bring it to life. They created the paint that they use in painting the school. The school saved a lot of money because all they did was buy the materials, and then they gave this teacher. It was only the teacher they gave small compensation. They didn't give anything to the students, but it was cheaper for them. What am I saying? They transferred knowledge. They transferred knowledge. They applied knowledge. So let children apply knowledge. Now, the last part is interdisciplinary, which we don't do a lot. I saw a video clip recently, and I was shocked. On the it was a clip from a series 911 something, and this young boy called the 911 saying he had an emergency, and the lady was like, okay, what's your emergency? And she said, and he goes, I have my 7 times table homework, I have to do it. And the lady said, that's not an emergency. And he told the lady, said, ma, it's an emergency because it's due tomorrow morning. And if I don't submit it, my teacher is going to ground me, and this is going to happen. I'm going to miss out on the school party, blah, 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 and I need help. So the lady now said, okay, she didn't know that it was such a big deal. She was going to find out how she can help him. And she now said, have you ever thought of looking at the 7 times table using the birthday song? So she went with this happy birthday to you, and she was like 7 times 1 is 7. That was the way she sang it, you understand? But she made him understand the 7 times table using that. How many times have you brought in music into your class to help? I was talking about proportions. You have a home economics teacher. When you want to teach proportion, why don't you bring the home economics teacher and tell her, come into my class. Today, you are going to explain to my children, we bake cake. If we use 500 grams, we do this, we do this, we do that. When we want to do 1,000 grams, we do this, we do that. It's maths, but I've brought in the idea of home economics into it. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say. Now, one of the activities, one of the things I'm going to send to you, it's an 11 times table worksheet. Now, do you know how the worksheet is? It's math and English. It's called word search. So the child solves the question. 11 times 6 is 66. It's, you know, those word search. The child needs to look for 66 on the word search and cross it out. I don't know if you get what I'm saying.
Yes.
Eh?
Yes.
Now, 11 times 5 is 55. The child needs to go and look for 55 in that word search and cross it out. So is that a blend of math and English?
Yes.
That's what we're saying. Interdisciplinary activity. I'm teaching social studies. How can I bring in visual arts in my social studies? The creative part of it. There are some students that would understand what you're teaching them just because you brought in some drawing into it, because that's what they are good at. A lot of students, especially the boys, they love football. How can I bring in football to help with my teaching? Mr. Oyewole, can you come back? Give me 5-10 minutes. Yeah, thank you. Do you understand what I'm saying? How can I bring in football into what I'm teaching to help my students understand what I am passing across? Because football is something they love. How can I bring in music to help my children understand what I'm passing across? I'm teaching on Christian religious knowledge, and I'm teaching on the story of Joseph and how Joseph went to Egypt. Can I link it with something in the political space now in Nigeria and help my students understand it better? Interdisciplinary. And then there's a clause there, please, use of ICT is not interdisciplinary because you're expected to use ICT for your teaching and learning. So don't come and say I use PowerPoint, so it's interdisciplinary. No. Or I use Excel when I was teaching. No. So how do I merge my arts, my history, my language, my music, all these things together and teach a particular topic so that my children benefit more? That is what interdisciplinary is all about. I remember in those days, first 20 elements, we used to sing it, right? 9 planets. Now I hear that there are 8 planets. God will help us. Everything is changing every day. So, you know, you used to see Mr. Ninja D, all those things. Those were things that helped us. So interdisciplinary, bring them in so that your children understand and engage more with your resources. Very, very important and very key for us. So students in science class write persuasive letter to an environmental organization about the result of their experiment. Now, writing is English language. Experiment is science. So it defines what the students are doing. So just like what I said, they're solving a math question and they need to search for the 66. That's a mixture of maths and English. So very important for us to do. Now, this is the rubric. Learning activity does not require knowledge construction. That means students are just memorizing. They are just memorizing. It's a no. Learning activity does require students to construct. Maybe they interpret, they analyze or synthesize. That's level 2. They're just starting. Then when they begin to apply knowledge in new contexts. No, the main, when you're looking at time and effort, that's the next level. Then they now apply knowledge in new contexts. Beyond your classroom, what happens? I'm faced with this, what happens? I taught on safety precautions, and which is something we don't teach very much. Which is, I wish Nigeria would get to that point, because I told I said it was something I realized when we went to China. On the TV station, every 10 minutes, there's a break, there's an advert on safety, where they show you if a fire breaks out, what do you do? If a socket sparks, what do you do? So when I teach on safety, can a child go back? I've seen a house. I was in my mother-in-law's house in an estate, and a house came down that night. We're all looking like this. What happened? The girl put oil on fire to fry something, and she went out to go and fetch water. But I don't know why she even did that, because I mean, common sense will tell you that it will be very hot before you come back. By the time she came back, oh, the oil was hot. She just put the plantain and fire went out. And the way the devil works, when the fire went out, I mean, normal safety she had been taught was cover that fry pan with a pot cover and it would die off the fire. Instead, she was trying to off the gas, pull up the gas cylinder, and it exploded. The whole flat came down. So if I teach a child on safety, can the child transfer that knowledge home and save a situation at home? You know, so these are the things we're saying. Children should be able to take their knowledge beyond our classroom. And then the last part of it is when the knowledge construction is now interdisciplinary. I can see a mix of arts, and music. I can see a blend of language and maths and history in play in whatever I'm doing. And then here it's also like a flow diagram. So this is where I wrap it up for today. Any questions? Any questions? I can't hear you. Okay, I think I can see someone raising a hand there. Yes, your question.
Okay. How can we apply this collaboration of the state in the nursery classes?
In
Nursery class.
in a dancing class?
Nursery.
Nursery.
class.
Okay, good. I like what you just asked, because a lot of times we always look at it that, oh, in the nursery class is challenging and is all that. So now basically what we're talking about is, what is that thing I want to teach my nursery children? For example, I'm probably teaching my nursery children how to button up their uniform properly. Or I'm going to be doing something relating to as simple as taking out your plates after eating. So we could decide that we want to do it as a group activity. Or even as simple as telling them to put the decks properly. And we can decide to do it as a group activity. It depends on what you're teaching. Do you understand? I'm not too conversant with your curriculum, but if you tell me something from your curriculum in the nursery class, I'm sure I can figure out something for you.
Maybe I'm teaching sound. I'm teaching sound. The sound. I'm teaching sound.
Teaching the R sound. Now, when you're, okay, so when you're teaching the R sound, that's like your letter A, right?
Yes.
So how about I do this? Have a box with the letters, and do you have clips, video clips you use for them?
No, we don't.
Okay, do you have any kind of tools that, do you have any kind of tools that can make that R sound for them?
Yes.
What? Okay, you use your phone. You use your phone.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So now, what about if you have them in groups and you cut the different letters in a box and put it there? And when you make that sound, you're looking at it and says, which group wants to tell me this sound, and pick out something from the box to show me what sound that represents. Do you understand? So I put them in group of 3, and I'm going to tell them I will play the sound. Now I want you to, when I play the sound, I want you to look at the letters in the box. I want you to decide and agree on which letter is going to represent this sound. Did you get what I just said?
Yes.
So in that case, when you play the sound, sometimes, tell you the honest truth, they're looking at the letter. Sometimes they might not be too sure, and then they might even tell you, please play it again. Please play it again. So you play it again, and then they look at it, and you would even see them debating. One person will say, I think it's the B. One person will say, I think it's the A. No, I think it's the this. I think it's, and then eventually they would agree and show you something. If they are right, you give them an applause. If they're wrong, you might tell them, I think I want you to look back again, and I'll take the sound again, and just be creative with it. Do you understand? Are you with me?
Yes.
Now, sometimes you could teach them some simple things like as tying your shoelace. And you tell them, I have a couple of shoes. Remove the lace and tell them, I want you to work together. Can you put the lace in the shoe as a team and tie it together? And when you finish, can you explain, each team come and explain to the class what you have done to be able to do that? Are you getting me?
Yes.
So there's simple activities that you do, but what you need to do as a teacher is now think of it. How do I get my students to collaborate on this activity? How do I get my students to communicate and share an idea? So it depends on what you're doing, but how do I get them to do that? Or I'm teaching them on fractions and I just cut 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 in different places, or 1/3 and 2/3, or 1/4, 1/4. And I tell them, move 1, 2, 3, 4, pick whatever you pick, but make sure you make a one whole at the end of the day. So they need to fit them together and come up with a one whole. So there are activities you can engage with. We're not saying that you do it every day or in every class, but we're saying that please don't let a week go by without you making your children get involved in collaboration, get involved in skilled communication. Because the reality is, at the end of the day, you don't even know the kind of work they are going to face by the time they are in school. We are talking about now. Those are your children. They will be in the job market in the next, some of them in the next 15 years, in the next 10 years, in the next 20 years. That's when they are going to come into the job market. What kind of job will they be doing? Do you know? Now we are talking about cybersecurity. We are talking about copywriting as available job, digital marketing as available jobs. We don't know what kind of jobs will be there. So the point is, whatever jobs they're going to come out and life they're going to come out to meet in the future, there are things they cannot run away from. Collaboration, knowledge construction, skilled communication, they would always need it. So how am I teaching my children to start thinking? How am I teaching my children to become problem solvers? So whatever they meet when they get out there, they can solve problems. How am I teaching my children to collaborate and work as a team with people? Very, very important. So that's the whole essence of this. Engaging our children with those skills. Any other questions, please?
Yes.
Yes?
Okay, I still have a question. Okay. I still have a question on collaboration.
Okay, good.
How do you handle those students or pupils who refuse to collaborate with others, even after you have put them in groups? Because there are some who will still refuse to work.
Yes, so that's why the collaboration says you as the teacher don't assign role. Let them decide, because sometimes the reason why they are not collaborating is because what you want them to do is not what they want to do. It's not what they have interest in. So there are 4 activities. We have a project. That project requires 4 processes. Everybody pick your own process. I'm not telling you you are going to do A. I'm not telling you are going to do B. I'm not telling you are going to do C. Or better still, there are 4 processes. And of these 4 processes, write out which one you feel you can do. And from there, you can now know that, okay, Mr. A, there's no need asking him to do the presentation. It's not what he's interested in. What he's interested in is the building. So that's why we're saying don't choose, just guide. Give them an opportunity to have a voice. Do you understand what I'm saying? And let me tell you this. Let me explain this. You know, sometimes, I don't know why, I think sometimes we just look at children different from where, let me give you this. Even we as adults, we are very resistant to change. Do you know that? We as adults, we are very resistant to change. We are we don't like to change from the way we know how to do things or how we have been doing things until we see the results in that thing they are telling us to go into. A lot of times we are not ready to move. So, and that's how children are. The no factor is a big thing for us. For us to say, no, I'm not doing it, is a big thing. So children too are like that. So that's why I said sometimes you need to know their strengths and their weaknesses. You need to know the things they like and the things they don't like. And it's of no use pairing two people you know can never work together. When you're doing group activity, you know that A and B will always fight. And you as the teacher, when you want to do the group activity, you now put A and B together and you're expecting to get results. It won't work out. Yeah, eventually you might get to a point where A and B can work together, but it will take time. And until that time comes, please don't. Yes, any other questions, please? Yes.
First of all, I want to say thank you very much. We've really learned a lot, and
thank you.
Our teaching is going to be a bit different from now.
Thank you.
Yes. My question is this. For example, I have a project on skeleton about. Do I need to spell out what I am expecting them to come up with? Or do I just leave it to them? I just want it to be.
No. You spell out what you want to see at the end of the day because you're dealing with children. So, for example, you spell out, this is what I want to see. However, let's now have a discussion in your groups. Can you sit together and discuss what you think you can do to get that outcome? Now, they will come up with ideas. The ideas might not be perfect, but the fact that they've even suggested something means that they are ready to take ownership. So when you bring in your own idea now and said, oh, this is great. What you have done is great. However, I think you should add, you're not telling them that what they have done is no, and you're trashing it. What you have suggested, because, I mean, they're not blank slates. They have something upstairs. You understand? So they might be able to come up with some good ideas, and then you can now add to it for them and then guide them. Like I said, we're not saying you leave them alone. We're saying guide them. The only thing we're saying is don't do it for them. Let them do it. Let them do it. I'll tell you this. See, I think my trip to China opened my eyes to a lot of things, and I'm worried about the Nigerian child, if I have to use that word, because I saw a community where children go to school 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Yeah, my students were shocked. They go to school 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And one of the conversations while we're talking, one of the guys says, we don't help our children do anything. In fact, he told me, he said, my 3-year-old daughter, we went mountain climbing together and I let her do the climbing herself. Yes, she struggled. Yes, she did this. Yes, he was saying it. He said, but I didn't help her. I let her do it. He said, the only thing I did was I was behind her, guiding her in case she wants to fall. But I let her do the climbing. But you know, if it's in Nigeria, yeah, we'll back the child and climb until we get to the top. Yes. Now, he was saying, I was standing behind her, but I let her do the climbing. And that's what we're saying. Stand behind the students, but let them do the job. Let them do the job. See, let me tell you something. If you know how to practice this skill, you'll find it so easy to teach. I used to tell people in my school, they say I'm the most hardworking teacher. In my mind, I'm like, me, don't know that I'm the laziest of all. I'm very lazy. I don't like stress in this my life, but the way I arrange my class and do my things, my children are 100% engaged. I'm going to send you guys some of those maths worksheets. Since you're in nursery primary, there's some beautiful maths worksheets. There's some that the child is just going to look at. If you answer and your answer is 0 to 3, color red. If your answer is 4 to 8, color blue. tell me the truth, those students, they like to color more than anything. So the color is there, and they have their color pencil. You will see the way they will solve 50 questions, in front of you. Yourself, you'll be wondering that, when did my children, do you understand what I'm saying? And the truth is, when they are doing that activity, that they are solving that math question and they have to color, you will not hear any sound. They will not make noise. They will not stop. Why? Because they are engaged. So the 30 minutes or so they spend on that activity that on a normal day you should have been saying, keep quiet, sit down, don't do this. You are resting. I remember in my former school, there was this class we had. There were 30 students in that class. 22 of them were boys, 8 of them were girls. It was a secondary school. So imagine having an SS1 class with 22 boys and 8 girls. And then I had this biology teacher that would always complain. Hey, anytime she goes there, she would come. I was their class teacher. When she comes to her, she would say, Ms. Olawale, your children have finished me today. So one day I now called her. I said, what's the topic you want to teach? She told me. I went online. I researched for a worksheet on that topic. I printed it out and I made 30 copies of it. I now downloaded a video. I told her, I said, look at this video. What do you think? She said, this is perfect. This is exactly what she wants to teach today. I said, good. I said, look at this worksheet. She said, where did I get it from? That is as if I just got everything she wants to teach. I said, wonderful. I said, today when you go to class, please go and collect projector from VP Academics office. Show them the video, arrange the projector so that it will show on the whiteboard. You show them the video. When they finish watching the video, give the worksheet. It was a 40 minutes class. She came back after the class and told me, said, Mrs. Olawale, this is the first time I went to class and I did not say, keep quiet, sit down. That for the 20 minutes of them watching the video, they were watching and making notes because she had given them the worksheet. So they knew they needed to watch the video to answer the worksheet. And when they finished, she said they sat down, answered the worksheet completely, and she just collected it back from them after the class and graded it. All life is good. What am I trying to say? Engage your students. 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 Use technology. You'd have an easy life in teaching. Smooth and easy. Don't worry, my last class, I'll teach you people one thing you can even do, even in making your lesson plan, how you use ChatGPT. How many of you have heard of ChatGPT? Oh, okay. So I'll show you ChatGPT and how you get to use it to create your lesson plan. You're not sweating. ChatGPT will help you bring out everything you want. And the topic with the lesson objective, with the how many minutes, with everything you want. You have it ready. So during holidays, if you have prepared all your whole lesson plan for your next term, and you come back to school with easy life. That's what technology does for us. Okay? Any question? Okay. So I'll see you all tomorrow. And thank you so much for having me. Bye. So, Mr. Dennis, you get my gift.
All right, thank you.
Bye.
Okay, thank you.
Tomorrow should be 10 a.m. I think we're doing 10 a.m. tomorrow too.
All right, thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Tomorrow is 10 a.m. Bye.
So please make your 10 a.m. 10 a.m. please. Okay, bye. Bye.
I'm going to China tomorrow. Let me go and see that robot.